Welcome to the Barrett channel. Welcome back all my regular viewers, and a big welcome to any new viewers to another COVID-19 update. Today the weather is 25 degrees Celsius and it's clear, and we are coming to you from Shenzhen, China. It's getting a little bit warm for jumpers nowadays, so I'm going with a t-shirt today. And unless it gets colder, we will be getting a t-shirt on every update. Okay, first to the numbers. So within China we have 79,968 confirmed cases. 2,873 people have died and 41,681 have recovered. The recovery rate is accelerating much more quickly than the death rate, which is of course great news, and it appears that quite a large majority of the cases are quite mild, which is also good news. Still, most of the new cases are in Hubei province. Today there was 570 new cases in Hubei, and outside of Hubei, in all the other provinces of China, there are only 9 new recorded cases, which is absolutely fantastic. Shenzhen, where I live, we have recorded no new cases for 7 days. So it appears to me that the authorities outside of Hubei have somewhat got the situation under control, although it is said that we mustn't sort of celebrate too early, because if we let our guard down, if we start ignoring all the precautions we should be taking, it could very easily kick off again. So we must still be very careful. Again, still only 4 provinces with more than 1,000 confirmed cases. Guangdong with 1,349, Henan with 1,272, Zhejiang with 1,205 and Hunan with 1,018. I would like to add, none of those provinces have any new cases today, which is also fantastic. On to global figures. Okay, so globally we have 7,041 confirmed cases. 105 people have died and there are 459 cases that have recovered. There are a number of countries that have quite a lot of new cases each day. South Korea, today another 595 cases. Italy 240 cases. Iran 205. And there are quite a lot of cases now appearing in Europe, with France with 43, Germany with 37, Spain with 17. Also, the UK has another 3. And just although they're not part of the EU, they're very much located in the same area. Switzerland have also announced 9 cases, taking their total to 24. Now on to the recovery and death rates. As always, I give 2 sets of figures for these. The first set does not include people who still have the virus. It's a number based on the people who've either recovered or died. And the second set of numbers takes into consideration people who still have the virus, although we don't know the outcome of those people. So, firstly, China, Hubei province. The death rate is 8.13% and the recovery rate is 91.87%. Based on the second set of figures, the death rate is 4.13% and the recovery rate is 46.61%. Now to the rest of China excluding Hubei. Firstly, the death rate is 1.06% and the recovery rate 98.94%. Secondly, the figures 0.86% and 80.35%. And then finally, onto the rest of the world, excluding China. Firstly, the death rate is 18.62% and the recovery rate is 81.38%. And the second lot of figures, a death rate of 1.49% and the recovery rate of 6.52%. I think it's important to stress with the global figures, they will look kind of out of proportion at the moment compared to China, simply because the virus is in a earlier stage. You're about 1 month behind where we are here in China at the moment, so that will affect the rate, because there's not yet a lot of recoveries. Because it's only a sort of maybe 1 week into some large numbers. So okay, that's the numbers dealt with. Let's get on to other things. Firstly, I'd like to speak about the USA. So the USA have seen a jump to 70 confirmed cases, and they are now finding a number of cases that have an unknown origin. But not to worry. Apparently it's all okay in the USA, so say Donald Trump and Mike Pence. And it's interesting to see that many people point the finger and accuse China of not being open and giving people problems when they are open, suppressing social media, etc. Well, I read a number of reports about the US that now the CDC are not allowed to make any announcements until they've been signed off by either Mike Pence or Donald Trump. So much for freedom of information there then. Iran has seen a huge increase in the number of cases. And again, many people think that the numbers coming out of Iran are possibly not accurate. They also have a very high rate of deaths, which is quite surprising compared to other countries or other parts of the world. This was initially thought that it may be a different strain of the virus, but as yet there appears to be no evidence of that. I think it may be down to that for many years Iran have been under UN sanctions, and their health system is really not that robust at all. It's quite poor, their health system. So they are probably in other countries where they're probably able to give people good medical treatment. That may not be the case in Iran. I have read some reports that a number of doctors have fled the city, not staying around to help patients. I have no idea whether that is true news or fake news, but I have read that in a couple of reports. So okay, on to Europe now. The epicenter of the outbreak in Europe is Italy, and it's kind of ironic that Italy was one of the first countries to ban flights from China, and I think China was sort of a little bit unhappy about that. However, now that there's a large outbreak in Italy, Italy are saying to other countries, please don't stop the flights to Italy. There's no need. We have it under control. And I think it's kind of worrying to Italy, as 13% of their total economy is made up of tourism. And Italy are one of the weaker economies within Europe, as they have had very little growth for the sort of last 15 years. They also suffer with very high unemployment for the under 25s there. And it's thought that, so this is the last thing, and without those tourists, I believe they've already said bookings for March are some 75% down, and they're losing billions and billions of euros. Especially now America have issued an advisory for people not to travel to Italy. American tourists make up a large bulk of Italian tourists, and they are one of the highest spenders, spending on average at around 140, 150 euros a day in Italy. Also, some of the big fashion brands come from Italy, Prada and so on. So again, a lot of Chinese tourists would travel to Italy and buy those big designer brands. So obviously Italy very concerned about the situation. As regards other European countries, both France and Germany are seeing quite significant increases in cases. France have declared another 43 cases, Germany another 37, Spain 17. The UK have announced another 3 cases. One of those is from a teacher in a primary school. That primary school has now been closed. Letters have been sent to all of the parents. The children from that school must quarantine along with anybody they've been into contact with. And the school has been closed for a deep clean. And also the Netherlands has reported 5 cases. Switzerland, although not members of the European Union, have recorded another 9 cases, taking their total to 24. So it seems as though now that the virus is sort of becoming more and more under control in China. And again, I think I've said before, I think this is due to that's obviously apart from Hubei province, where there's still somewhat, significant amount of cases being reported each day. But for all intents and purposes, they have sealed Hubei off from the rest of China, not Hunan. Hubei from the rest of China. And I think, due to all the strict controls that have been put in other provinces, they really are, or seem to be getting on top of the virus. Interestingly, a comment that was made by a friend of mine, Daniel Dumbrill, on his channel, was that he was worried about cases re-entering China from abroad. Something interesting here, I was put into contact with somebody who returned from out of China back into China, and somebody was found to be positive on that flight, and he has been put into quarantine. So I have done a live interview with this guy. He's a guy from Canada named Carter, and we are going to put that video up as a premiere, which means when it first goes live, if you want to, you can join in a live chat with us, and the time that will be, it will be 6 p.m. China time, 10 a.m. GMT, so the UK, an hour's difference in Europe, and 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So any of you can tune in for that. It would be great to chat with you. So yeah, I hope that many of the countries outside of China can start implementing measures similar to China, where they are locking down people. Although it sounds very harsh, I think it is one of the only ways to stop the spread of the virus. I think if we don't adopt these harsh restrictions on movement and restrictions on person-to-person contact, social distancing, then I really think it will be difficult for other countries to get this under control. It seems Italy already doing that, but I see a number of countries seem not to be doing that, and personally I think that would be a really good idea to do. One other bit of news before I go, I'm reading that the UK are sort of getting a task force together to fight the outbreak if it does sort of escalate in the UK, and one of the measures they're going to call up army medics, and they're also going to call up retired doctors to help with that if the cases sort of escalate and the hospitals start becoming under too much stress. So that's a good thing. I do believe on Monday the UK government are having a meeting of the sort of COBRA task force, which is all the government departments that will deal with the nationwide emergency kind of situations. So I think on Monday we will have a lot more details of what they're going to do there. Okay, so that does bring me to the end of yet another COVID-19 update. As I've said before, all these videos do go limited, which means we only earn a fraction of the revenue we normally earn. It is very appreciated for everybody who watches, and a special big thank you to those people who support us. We do have 3 ways that you can support us, either directly by WeChat, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. I will put the graphics on the screen for a short time, and the links are down below if you feel you wish to support us. Please, there is no need to support us if you feel you don't want to, but any people that do, we really appreciate that. I will see you in the next update, but as always, take care.